Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about classes and objects, and if possible we'll cover dictionaries as well. Let's start with classes and objects. I'm going to just command click on it and then open it in a new tab. Right, so let's get started. Okay, easy peasy. Like in Python, as far as I understand, everything is straightforward and simple as possible. So declaring a class cannot get easier than this. You just write class and then name of the class. You can put variables inside the class. You can put functions inside the class. Amazing. Now if you compare this with Swift programming language, Java programming language, or any other programming language, okay, it cannot be as easy as this. No curly brackets needed, straightforward indentation takes care of everything. Nice. So if I hit the run button, it's just gonna compile. But how to use this class, I believe that's what we are going to do over here. Interesting. So over here we have a class in that we have variable, then we have a function over here. One thing that you need to understand is, like, you always have to supply self as a parameter. Okay, so once you have created an object, so this is how you create an object. So class, we understood how to define a class, how to add a variable inside a class. Okay, but now the thing is, like, how do we create an object of a class? So this is how you do it. There's no need to write let or where. You just go ahead and define the variable name and assign the value of a class. So over here it would create an object of that class and then assign it over here. But now how do we access the variables? So over here in this example we can see that class dot variable. With that you can basically access the variable, which is, in this case, it's blah. Okay, so over here we're trying to print blah. So if I run this program, you can see it prints blah. But so let's say over here if I say hello world, and then if I run this, it's gonna print hello world. Amazing. Now over here there are two different objects, object X and object Y, of the same class basically. Nice. And in over here we are printing the value over here. So if I run this, basically you can see that for the object Y we have updated the value of the variable, and which was done after the initialization of the object. So this is how you can update the value. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so over here we have defined a function, and this is how you call the function. Okay, so if I run this, it's gonna print the message which is written over here. So let me quickly recap what is done over here. You have defined a class over here. The name of the class is my class. Then you have a variable of that class, and then you have a function of that class. And of course, for all the functions you have to by default supply self as a parameter so that it would be available. The function would be available on the instance. Okay, so over here we created an instance of a class with the class type is my class, and then that instance is available with variable my object X, and with that my object X we are calling the function of that class. So over here when I do this, you can see it's basically running. Interesting and easy peasy, right? Not a complexity over here, too much of complexity over here, which I can see it's easy, from my point of view, of course. But if you find any difficulties, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section so that we can clear out confusions if there are any. Let's move to the next one. So for this one, the moment the class is initialized, it would have by default blah value. Okay, so let's say if you want to change it, you can change it by providing a constructor. So this is init, it's a special function, and whenever a class instance is initiated, the init function is triggered. Nice. So you can see over here, instead of not supplying, so over here at the time of initialization we're not supplying anything, but now over here we are supplying a value. Okay, so this value will go right over here. First parameter, like we discussed earlier, would be self, which is the object itself which you would supply. Nice. And then over here you can see we have one more function over here which is going to return the value, and that value we are printing it over here. Okay, so now last time we copy pasted this. Now instead of that, let's try writing this on our own and let's see how many mistakes do we make. Okay, kind of an exercise for us. So let's do this exercise first and then we'll cover the next exercise. Okay, so let's go to the code. In here I haven't pushed my changes, so which we will do, and there's one more exercise that we need to do. We didn't complete this exercise last time, so we'll cover this as well. But let's start with this. File number 12 over here, classes, and that dot py. All right, so we start with class and then name of the class. So let's say we call it my class, okay, colon sign, and then over here we define, let's say, value. So I'm gonna say value equals by default, let's say 10, and then if we want to add initializer, we say define underscore underscore init, nice, and then it takes self, and then I'm gonna say default initial value. Okay, so with this I'm gonna say okay, so value equals initial value. So this is what I've done over here, and then define a function, let's say print value. Okay, that's a function which I'm gonna write over here, and in that I'm gonna just print the value that we have. Value that we are holding is %d, and then the value that we want to print. All right, so with this the class definition is complete. Let's create an instance over here. So first object equals my class, and in that we can supply any value. So I'm going to supply 20 value, and then over here first object dot print value function, we're going to execute this function. Basically, let's try running this. Run as a Python in the terminal, and with that we can see that the value is getting printed. However, oh yeah, my bad, I guess it has to be just the value or self value. Yeah, self dot value, but %d didn't work. Okay, how about %i? Let's try running this one more time. Interesting. Okay, so value is, because it is, okay, 1 second, I think we have to use self dot number. I see, that's why it's coming 10 over here even if we are supplying 20. So yes, my bad over here, that's a mistake which I did. Now it's correct as per the syntax, as per the logic. Right click and then run this, and then we are getting 20 value. Okay, so for this one, I guess, oh, I see, this is not the correct syntax. We're supposed to use %sign over here only, then it would understand. So yes, just like you, I'm also learning and I may make mistakes, and that's why it's pretty important to write the code by yourself instead of just doing a copy paste, which is available out there. Like, you know, you can copy it from website, you can copy it from AI generated code like ChatGPT, but in order to practice, memorize the syntax, you have to write it by yourself, just the way you write notes on your own, even though there is a textbook or a guide. Okay, so always write the code by yourself, only then you would be able to understand the syntax and then write the proper syntax. So now I guess it would run perfectly fine. You can see it's printing perfectly fine. So with that, we created a class over here. We have added 2 functions in it, and one of the function is nothing but an initializer. To the initializer, we are supplying the value, and with that value we are setting the default value of a variable that we have in the class. And there is another function which is printing the value that we are holding in the value, value variable. Okay, so over here, after the class definition, we've created an object and printing the value. So far so good. I mean, this is what we want to cover in this video. In the next video we would cover more. Thank you so much for watching the video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.